Agnes, thank you so much for joining. Quick introduction, who is Agnes?
Hi, my name is Agnes Dyduch. I run online implementation project as part of Smart Planning Center of Excellence team in Danone worldwide.
Wow, thank you. And currently we're working together as part of the Smart Planning project. Tell me a little bit more about the problems you're trying to solve with the Smart Planning project.
When we talk about smart planning, we're looking at it from perspective of not only technology, which is online in that case, but also ensuring that we have the right processes, right data, and the right capabilities of our planners. And what we're trying to achieve is we're trying to enable planners and decision makers in Danone to take quick and good decisions to drive very fast actions so that we drive profitable growth. Everything we're doing is not only about replacing scheduling software or replacing demand planning software. It is about truly focusing on what the planners need to take better decisions, to drive better actions.
Got it. And if you would turn it then into a couple of value leakage stories, right, which you anticipate to solve with a problem like this, could you give some examples of that?
I don't think it's anything different in Danone versus any other company. We do want to improve our service levels. We want to therefore improve our forecasting accuracy. We struggle with inventory levels. We want to lower our COGS structure. We want to make our planners work more efficiently. So I don't believe that the levers or the leakage, as you call it, is anything different than anybody else. Potentially the weight between those levers is different in Danone, considering we are mostly fresh food manufacturer. But at the same time, supply chain is supply chain and planning is planning.
Right. So tell me a little bit more about the functional scope, as you can describe it. What are some of the functional elements we're trying to cover as part of the Smart Planning project?
I think we started to be one of the most ambitious companies with the scope that we're trying to cover with our smart planning program. So again, it's not only online technology that we're implementing, it's overall change of ways of working and processes. And we're looking at all of our planners in operations. So our scope is truly end-to-end. We're starting from demand planning, demand sensing, collaboration with customers on one side. We're going through master planning, and then we're coming through to scheduling, MRP, and collaboration with our vendors. And it's not only the vertical elements of or pieces of supply chain, it's also the scope of time horizons that we're covering through in our program. It starts from SNOP, or we call it IBP, Integrated Business Planning, and it goes through all time horizons down until sales and operations execution. So truly end-to-end scope.
Wow, interesting. So across horizons, across functions, a big elephant to bite, as you might call it. Where do you start such a program? And how do you start it?
I think there are two dimensions to selection. Where do you start? First is, and this unfortunately is the part of constraint, is how do you build the technology? Because you have to start with certain basics. The basics in demand planning is statistical forecasting, and the basics in supply planning is master planning. Starting from those two dimensions is something that is required by the way the technology can be built. But right after that, we took the whole end-to-end scope and we started to look where is the biggest value for Danone. And this drove us to prioritize certain functionalities before the others. Considering, just to give you an example, considering we're a fresh food manufacturer, where we have really significant value lever is with scheduling. So this is one of the functionalities that we prioritize in time and in effort.
Okay, so detailed scheduling is very important. Clear. Very large program, I think we can all agree to that. How, in terms of an organizational management, change management, program management, if we look a little bit more into that, how have you organized the teams to set yourself up for success? Could you give a little bit more details about that?
The starting point in that conversation is in the first answer I gave you, which is the way we're perceiving this project is not just technology deployment, it's enabling planners. Because of that, the way we look at this project is from process, data, technology, and capabilities perspective. We have created Center of Excellence, global and then regional, so that we can support users in their journey to get the new technology and new capabilities, but also after we go live, what we call launch and love. So we continue supporting planners to ensure that the capabilities they have and technologies they have been given is actually being used and then it's being improved over time. So coming back to your question, we start from Global Center of Excellence, both business and IT. Then we have support of regional project teams and COEs. And then we obviously have local project teams that are deploying specific functionalities in specific geographies. It's a complex structure, but if we want to go with such an extensive scope of a project, with a speed that we have ambition to deliver it with, this is the complexity we have to cover.
Right. Very clear. And I think a big element to that, and I think you would probably agree, such a complex program requires very effective communication across the organization. You mentioned launch and love, which I really like as a concept. How do you make sure the love gets spread? How do you make sure you manage those effective communications? What are some of the tips and tricks there?
I don't want to come across as we have learned everything and we know everything. We're still on a learning path. What we have seen is working, though, already, is tailored communication to certain groups, ensuring that we leverage on our lead sponsors from the organization, make sure that we identify key, as we call them, social influencers, and make sure that they are spreading the good news or the gospel. And it is all about multiple levers that are adapted to what is required in the given stage of the project and in every given geography that we're talking about. Just to give you a specific example, when we are working with the teams who are designing pilots with us, it's a different type of communication. They are more already involved. They are more bought in. So the communication is maybe in larger groups and maybe it's more tactical. When we're talking about new users that we're trying to onboard on the project, we need to build their awareness. We need to build their desire. For those, we use more tools to show positive results of this technology for other users. We're using presentations. We're using networking events with other key users from other geographies. So, and there, I don't have one answer for it. And also, I don't think the answers that we have right now are already perfect and covering everything. As I mentioned, we're learning, and it is a more multi-pronged approach.
Very clear, thank you. Moving a little bit to another topic that usually involves a lot of learnings as well, which is the data and the whole governance around data. What are some of the, as you say, what role does data play in such a large transformation? And what are some of the learnings you might already have, tips and tricks in terms of managing the data and building a governance around data and data quality?
Data is make or break on projects like that. If we were talking about other areas of the business, maybe data and system connectivity wouldn't be so critical, but we are talking about planning. So we are talking about relying on information from multiple systems and providing insights for decision makers to actually drive profitable growth. If this is the case, then wrong data gives us wrong insights, gives us wrong decisions. That's why data is absolutely critical for this project. There are two ways of approaching project like this. The standard way is you take 2 years and you clean your data, you map everything, you try to understand everything, sort, harmonize, improve quality. And if anybody asks, that definitely is the recommendation for any other company that we're talking to, is definitely, if you have time and you have resources, definitely that's the lower risk approach. At the same time, if you want to take 3 years out of your life to clean the data alone, you're delaying the capabilities that you want to hand over into the hands of your planners. So you, in every company, you need to take a decision on what is the level of risk you're happy to accept. What is the level of concurrent data cleaning, data harmonization, system connectivity with building a new tool? This brings risks, and everybody needs to be clear about it. Everybody needs to be resourced for it. And then, unfortunately, bear with it, because this is the route Danone has chosen so that we can hand over capabilities sooner into the hands of planners, support our planning processes and decision-making sooner. But that means that this really is a hard balance to strike, to make sure that we're cleaning the data while we're building the new solution. Mm-hmm. Do we have any tricks? We had a number of structures put in place. The approach to how we map the data, how we track the level of completeness and cleanliness of this data. Are we there yet? It's like with change management, by far no. But it's still, from my perspective, it is still worth to go in parallel, just because we're not delaying handing over the functionalities by 2 or 3 years.
Right. And as such, not delaying also the value unlock that could be very clear. So you mentioned already, right? It's a risk trade-off. Looking at a program like this, what other risks do you foresee, and what other risks are anticipated during the program, and what are some of the risk mitigating actions or measures you have taken to solve for that?
Data definitely is very close to the top, but I think the one focus that we continuously pay attention to is the planner. So everything we're looking at, the project approach, the solutions, the rollout plans, we're looking from perspective of what does it mean for a planner? And you mentioned change management. So how are we communicating? This is one of the aspects. The way we are structuring and sequencing functionalities and then the rollout also takes into account what does it mean for a planner, so that we enable them and don't create a business risk for it. I think you can talk about governance, you can talk about resourcing, you can talk about project planning, you can talk about partners you're working with. Apart from online, you have also a business integrators. You can talk about stakeholder management. This is a project like any other. Okay, a bit more complex. But the critical element to perceive every risk and then to plan how to de-risk those challenges is if you look at those topics from perspective of user. Because the moment the planner is disrupted, this is what generates problems for the company and what is destroying value rather than breaking value.
Very clear. And then to close it off, I know we're still early in the program and it's still ongoing. Any success stories you can already share?
I think the perspective of having the users sit in front of the solution for the first time and actually seeing how it works and being excited about it is the success story that I am bringing from this project. And as you know, I've done this before as well. The true joy that the planner is expressing when they see different ways of working with different technology, when they can actually focus on insights and driving decisions rather than crunching data, chasing Excels, retyping things, and myriad of things that this solution, these new ways of working are bringing. This is the success story. Happy users.
Agnes, thank you so much for your insights and the conversation.
Thank you for having this conversation with me. I hope that it will help other companies who are going through either similar decision process or similar projects. I think it's all about sharing information and learnings so that we can all get better together. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.